Here we go, LUDZY'S Lounge, Niagara Falls Review, St. Catharines Standard, Welland Tribune. Wonderful, wonderful weather out there today. It's a great day to talk about hockey, LUDZY.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to see you. Hey, our guest is Rick Jeanneret, voice of the Buffalo Sabres since 1971, Hockey Hall of Famer, legend, and to me, the most exciting voice in sports.
Now you just told everybody how old I am.
You got your suspenders on, pal?
I certainly do.
Beautiful.
They are.
We're going.
So a compliment, and you told everybody how old he was.
Well, I tell you what, he was always my favorite to listen to. I still like going to the internet, going to YouTube and putting in his calls. I was with his buddy Rick Dudley yesterday, and one of the great calls when Dudley went crazy behind the bench in Quebec, and he was trying to grab the coach of the Quebec, the little tiny guy, the Petit Tigre or whatever.
Michel Bergeron.
Yeah, he said, "Get out of there, Petit Tigre! Get out of there!" Just a great guy tw Rick Jeanneret is just a tremendous. Rick, before we start, how are you feeling?
I feel great.
You look great.
No, I honestly do. A few months ago, I couldn't have said that, but I bounced back from the cancer pretty good, and I'm.
You look great, pal.
Yeah, all the scans so far have been clear, and so I'm good to go.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. What do we got on tap today?
Well, I think we should talk a little bit about the Stanley Cup playoffs starting Wednesday. A couple really intriguing storylines. The Chicago Blackhawks seemingly have this whole salary cap thing figured out, and they're heading to their third Stanley Cup Finals in 6 years. Yeah. So is this a more impressive run than the Oilers of the '80s, the Islanders with the salary cap? Is this as impressive as it gets?
Well, the Oilers is a different time frame. I mean, now you got constraints on your hockey club with the salary cap and so forth. So I think it is very impressive. Joel Quenneville's done a masterful job. They got good scouts in the organization, good management.
But their superstar is Stan Bowman, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely,
I mean,
RJ.
As a GM, he has done a masterful job there. It's incredible. In order to be in their third Stanley Cup in 6 years. And
the salary cap, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble next year.
Oh, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but again. I give Stan again exactly. We went through this a couple of years ago, but it's I hate to say it. The old cliches. It's going to come down to goaltending. Your best player, Taves versus Stamkos. That's going to be interesting. Yeah. I thought Boudreau, although I love the way he coaches, I thought he kept his best players off the ice at the most important times, especially the first period of the Game 7. You got to let your best players settle the score when you're playing. And Perry and Getzlaf weren't on the ice enough. And at least in the first period, they weren't. They were too interested in line matchups.
Right.
Well, they talked a lot about that on television. That Getzlaf would see Taves come on the ice and head off the ice, and Kessler would come on. So maybe line matching to death a bit.
Well, what happens then is that when the player's going off the ice, you have the innate feeling in behind you that your coach doesn't trust you against this line, and it's not a good for your superstars. You can't have that, RJ.
No, and there's a little bit of confusion on line changes and things like that because of
that process.
Match. Yeah,
exactly.
Sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Tampa Bay and Stevie Yzerman, coming from the Detroit organization obviously he was the face of the Detroit organization for all those years, and then worked in management with Ken Holland. Has he created a Tampa Bay Lightning team that is the Detroit Red Wings?
That's got to have something to do with it, obviously. I mean, that's where he got his management skills from, or at least he honed them there. He honed them with Detroit, and pretty good guy to follow is Kenny Holland. I mean, he's had a lot of success as well. So I'm not surprised. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
You look at the guys they got, especially that Johnson kid.
Yeah.
I mean, just a speedster, and anybody could have grabbed him.
Not even drafted.
We could have had him for nothing. Yeah. Kind of like a Martin St. Louis situation that we had in Tampa Bay years ago.
He was undrafted in the WHL.
Yeah.
Played an overage year in the WHL, and then undrafted to the NHL. So is Stevie Yzerman and the scouts, were they better than everybody to find him, or were they just
Absolutely.
lucky?
No, well, you got to get lucky to catch a guy like that. But you got to have guys that know. I can see what they're thinking about him. The game has changed in the last few years. Smaller guys can play because the rule changes.
And the other thing is, I can remember that he patterned himself a lot after Marty St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember Harry Neal, when I was working with him, he asked Marty one time, he says, "How does it feel to be the smallest guy in the NHL?" And he said, "Better than being the smallest guy in the AHL."
I remember Cliff Fletcher going to me, because I love Martin St. Louis when I got to Tampa. And we played him the second game. He set the first game out, and he played the second game of the season. And he came in to see Cliff Fletcher came and goes, "I hate jockeys." I go, who are you talking about? Martin St. Louis. And it goes to show you he had so much to overcome. A lot of people don't like him. He's a small guy, but he performed. Let's say it. Say it the way it is.
Absolutely.
So who's going to win this series?
Blackhawks will win this series, I think.
Is that because you're biased?
Well, I
do. Well, you were with both organizations.
I burned out in Chicago and I got fired by Tampa Bay. So I think the Blackhawks are going to win. I think their four lines are just a little bit better. I think Crawford and the goalie for Tampa, what's his name?
Ben Bishop.
Ben Bishop.
Small little guy.
The little 6 foot.
They're all like that now. They're all giants.
The Giants. They have a bad night, still hits them.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But I think I like Chicago, and they'll go 7 games.
Rick?
I don't have any allegiance with either team, so I didn't get fired by either. People ask me, who do you think will win? And I said, well, basically, I don't really care. I just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And I know players and I know personnel on both teams, so I don't try to hang my coat anywhere along the line.
Before we go, that first segment, how about the Memorial Cup?
Unbelievable.
2-1 victory for Oshawa. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the great thing about junior hockey is it was a 2-1 hockey game, but there was about 9,000 chances. There was 200 turnovers. There was
and one horrible check that didn't draw a penalty in the first game. Boy, how did they miss that? I have no idea.
But did you ever think, RJ, you'd see a Memorial Cup game decided 1-1 in an overtime, 2-1?
No.
That's
No. None of the ones I did were like that.
No, ones I played in either.
So we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna take a message from our presenting sponsor, Boston Pizza, and Old Bank Bistro in Fort Erie.
Proudly sponsored by Boston Pizza on Morrison Street in Niagara Falls. Boston Pizza, you're among friends. The Old Bank Bistro and Piano Bar offers its guests enticing menu choices in a comfortable setting just minutes away from Niagara Falls and the city of Buffalo. The Old Bank Bistro, Niagara's favorite celebration destination.
So welcome back to LUDZY'S Lounge on this wonderful winter, spring, almost summer day.
Good for the grass.
We needed some rain.
Yeah.
So I spent the weekend over in Buffalo working at a hockey camp. Yeah, they actually let me work at a hockey camp.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I moved the pylons around and acted as a pylon a few times, I think. So I got into a really neat discussion. There was a bunch of coaches that they do it professionally in the NCAA, and we talked about how the game has seemingly become almost overcoached.
Right.
We were talking about at the minor hockey level and how everything is engineered and manufactured as opposed to just letting the kids go, and then it turned into at the NHL level. So you guys have been around the game forever. Is the game more coached and overcoached than it's ever been?
Brent Sutter, when he coached Team Canada last year, I don't know, it was a few years ago, and they lost
the World Juniors,
and he said, we better start having a good look at our development system in Canada, because some of our guys are lacking a lot of skill. And what happens, you get these coaches, and they think they're in the National Hockey League. That kid's playing the trap at age 7. Yeah. I mean, you're not working, you're not honing their skills. And I mean, I'm a big systems guy, but wait till you're playing Bantam or midget, at least get that. Hone your skills first, go after that. And then there is overcoaching. Like right now, if you don't know who the head coach is, you look on the bench, there's 6 guys back there. Goalie coach, power play coach, penalty killing coach.
Video coach.
I'm
of the mindset that, and as much as I love the sport, and it's been great to me, and it's given me a great living, a great lifestyle, if I was to talk to youngsters, and I do, play another sport as well. Don't just play hockey when you're a really young kid. Get out and play something else. Put some variety and spice in your life. And
absolutely.
I have people that come to me and talk to me about the business that I'm in, the broadcasting end of it, and they'd like to get into it or something. It's usually some guy who's about 45 years old. He's got no chance in hell of ever get. But I said, well, the best thing you can do, as far as I'm concerned, and I tell all the young folks that, is to go and get a job as an intern.
Yeah.
Because you'll find out that A, you like it, or B, you'll find out you don't like it, and that's the quickest thing. You can get the heck out and find something else to do.
Good information. Awesome.
So in Buffalo last year, Ted Nolan, from the outside, wasn't a guy that overcoached. He was a guy that coached more with emotion.
Oh yeah, he always did.
He always did. He won Memorial Cups, and that was his strong point. Was getting players to play, getting B players, be A players. He's a pusher. and a motivator. He's not a systems guy. Did they bring in a good guy for systems on the Sabres?
Well, you know, they brought in Brian Trottier,
Yeah.
so it would help him in that regard. But you know, I was pretty close to them, obviously, for
Yeah.
when I was traveling and that and doing the road games that I did. Teddy Nolan actually weathered this storm pretty good.
He did. I thought he did
mean,
really
yeah, he really did. I'd get on the plane after the game, and he'd be sitting there, and I think he's looking a little down. I'd tap him on the shoulder. He'd say, "I'm all right, RJ. I'm all right." You know,
Yeah.
so he didn't like losing,
No.
but he, like I said, he weathered the storm.
So in the age of this kind of overcoaching and this analytics and seemingly breaking the game down to, is it people trying to find self-worth in creating
it's
all of
coaches
these
trying to
stats?
survive. I'll be honest with you. You got a guy who says, you go to an organization, they say, we got a 4-year plan, but you're in the 2-year plan.
Yeah.
You know, you're thinking you got to win now. You're not worried about, concerned about development. And it's everything you see in hockey, where they want to go 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, coaches are going to figure a way to defend against that. That's the big thing. And as far as like Buffalo, you got the Sabres. I mean, you don't race a Toyota in the Indy 500 unless you got a hell of a shortcut.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's going to happen there. You can work any system, have any coach. You're not going to win if you don't have the talent.
As far as the analytics end of it is concerned, they kind of bury me, but get used to it, guys.
Yeah,
because it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like it, then you better get out, because you're not going to find anybody dropping it anytime soon.
So I mean, baseball's used these sort of advanced stats and
Yes, they have.
forever, and I've read articles that suggest that it just doesn't necessarily apply in hockey, and I've read people saying that it's the greatest thing to ever happen to hockey.
Wow.
Is it somewhere in between?
I'm so sick of listening about Corsi numbers.
Jim Corsi,
Well, yeah, but he denies it had anything to do with him. I mean,
I'm not a big fan of it because it doesn't tell you the intangibles that the kid brings to the pot.
Yeah.
I mean, what he has in the tank in overtime, what he does along the wall. I understand that they got all that stuff covered, but you don't see the guys' bench mannerisms either. They don't put that into.
Yep, for sure.
I think Buffalo was at one time they just wanted the scouts to watch videotape, didn't they? They didn't want to send them on.
Darcy Regier.
Darcy Regier.
He cut way back on the scouting department, and now since the Pagulas have taken over the team, they got all their scouts everywhere.
Absolutely,
they've got them all over the place.
It's a life bloodline of your team.
There's scouts out there.
Yeah.
We're going to take another break, and we're going to take a message from our presenting sponsor, Boston Pizza and Crown Rust.
Proudly sponsored by Boston Pizza on Morrison Street in Niagara Falls. Boston Pizza, you're among friends. Visit Canada's #1 rust control company, Crown Rust Control on Montrose Road in Niagara Falls.
Back to LUDZY'S Lounge. I'm really excited about this third segment that we're going to do here. So
absolutely.
I remember going with my grandpa Chipman, going to the old Buffalo auditorium and going up into the press box when I was probably 5 or 6 years old and meeting Mr. Jeanneret with my grandfather. And I remember as a little kid, I couldn't figure out replay. I remember watching and being fascinated with, well, has the game already... I wasn't.
How old were you?
I was maybe 19. No, I was. but I remember going. And I remember the voice, and it's the voice is unmistakable. So we've got Rick Jeanneret here with us today. We should ask him about some of the cool stuff that's happened through the years. So, Mayday, a Niagara Falls, a guy that played in Niagara Falls, played all his junior hockey in Niagara Falls. What was that something that you thought of ahead of time, or was it just he scored that goal and you were caught up in the emotion like everybody else?
Well, first of all, the most memorable part of it is he never bought me a beer. And I remind him of that constantly, and I work with him now. No, it didn't. It just popped out of me for some reason, and it sure got legs after that, and it still got legs until now. And even the Patty La Fontaine thing, that's not something I thought about ahead of time. It might have been spawned by the fact that Patty was traded for Pierre Turgeon. And when Pierre played in Buffalo and he used to score, I'd say, ooh la la, Pierre. So that might have had something to do with the La La La.
Most people out there probably know this, that you were the voice of the Niagara Falls Flyers before you were the voice of the Sabres. Yeah. How did you do it, RJ? You do the Sabres game and you get back to the CGRN at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and do the morning show? Because I used to listen in the morning. Yeah, you had a great show.
I did that for a couple of years. I used to take, if we chartered back, I'd go straight from the airport right to the CGRN to do the morning show. And I finally went to see the boss then. It was Jim O'Brien, and said, "This is going to carry on. I'm going to be dead." I said, "We got to find some kind of a solution here."
Did you have any great stories about Hap Ems?
I don't think any of that I want to tell.
Gotcha.
You understand. I actually got along fine with Hap.
Right.
He had his own set ways. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And as I get older, I understand more. I understand more.
Punch Muck was the guy that spearheaded the Sabres.
He was a great guy. I was, when I first got to the Sabres, I'm looking around. I said, "Punch Muck, you want Stanley Cup in Toronto?" He just took me under his wing and said, "Hey kids, just like Junior. No, nothing different. They get paid now. They get paid more."
Yeah, unbelievable. That's awesome.
So over the years, I mean, an NHL game has become a production and become a show. The pregame and the lights and the cameras and is that something that as guys that have been around the game forever, is that something that you like, or is it let's flood the ice and let's get back out there and play the game?
Whether you like it or not, it's here to stay because it's all part of entertainment and. The battle for the entertainment dollar is you got to fight it out to make sure you can sell those tickets.
Yeah. In 1978, Rick did a game. We were playing the Peterborough Petes in playoffs OHL finals, and a guy named Gord Seville went down by the Peterborough bench and thought he could interview one of the Petes.
Yeah.
Live on the bench.
Yeah.
And Gord Seville got roughed up by the Peterborough High Club, and you can hear RJ saying, "Get out of there, Gord! Get out of there!" now you have guys walk right to the bench and coaches.
Of course they do.
And he got pummeled. He got pummeled by the Petes.
The coaches, they don't like it at all.
No, I'd hate it.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what I'm planning here. Yeah, sure.
The Memorial Cup last night, they had I can't remember the guy and the sideline reporter.
Rob Falls.
Yeah, and he was on the Kelowna bench, and the Kelowna coach looked about as happy as somebody had just kicked him right square in the shin doing that interview. I think he asked, Rob Falls asked 4 questions. I think there was 6 words that came out of the Kelowna coach's mouth.
It's a tough position for both people to be in.
For sure.
And I don't know how much value it adds to the broadcast.
I don't think so either.
You never get a
standard answer.
Say, "Wow, did he really say that?"
Coming back.
So so next year in Buffalo, Jack Eichel?
Yeah.
Is that something that the town of Buffalo and Dan Bylsma?
Of course, he hasn't signed yet, or he hasn't even been drafted yet. But
sure. I guess I'm presuming.
Yeah, of course you are, and I think your presumption is correct. And they said, well, maybe he's not going to go. Maybe he's going to go back to school. They made him an assistant captain. I said, they want him that bad, they would have at least made him captain, if not a coach. But I think, pretty tough for a kid to turn down $1 million a year. Your entry-level contract is, $965 or something like that.
Isn't that amazing?
So, yeah, sure it is. So I have a feeling he'll be in, if he wants to go take more schooling, he can. At the off-season to do that. Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't blame him if he did.
A lot of plane rides that you can bring your laptop and.
Yeah, and of course those kids, they see buses when they see planes, and when they're playing at the college level or junior level.
Sure.
And you do. What's one thing you do in the NHL is, even though I crab about travel, is you travel nice.
First class.
It's charter everywhere. It's all first class seating. Stay in best of hotels, and it's pretty neat.
RJ, you're a class guy.
Thank you.
Great having you on the show.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful.
So LUDZY'S Lounge, we'll wrap up for another week. We got to thank our sponsors as always. Presenting sponsor Boston Pizza, Old Bank Bistro, Crown Rust, Somebody's, and of course the 3 best newspapers in the Niagara region: the Niagara Falls Review, St. Catharines Standard, and the Welland Tribune. So we'll see you back here next Monday, and we'll have another fantastic guest. And we'll talk a little bit more about hockey. Hopefully it's not hockey weather out next Monday. We'll see everybody next Monday.
Proudly sponsored by Boston Pizza on Morrison Street in Niagara Falls. Boston Pizza, you're among friends. Somebody's Casual Eatery and Bar offers a casual family experience as well as an open bar area. Whether you come alone or meet your friends at the bar, you can't help but have a good time.